going to have different examples on word problems involving Newton's laws of motion. So for the first example we have here, two people are pushing a stalled car. As figure A indicates, the mass of the car is 1,850 kilograms. One person applies a force of 275 newtons to the car, while the other applies a force of 395 newtons. Both forces act in the same direction. A third force of 560 newtons also acts on the car, but in a direction opposite to that in which the people are pushing. This force arises because of friction and the extent to which the pavement opposes the motion of the tires. Find the acceleration of the car. So from the problem, you have here the mass of the car. This car has a mass of 1,850, and then one person applies a force of 275 newtons. So this person applies 275 newtons, and then another person applies 395 newtons. Ito naman siya. So may dalawang forces na nag-push sa car on the positive x direction. So you can see here, this is what we call the free body diagram of the car. So this is the actual picture or the actual figure of what is happening in the problem. And then ito naman yung free body diagram of the car, which shows the direction of the forces. So dito, ginawa nating reference point or reference axis is yung x-axis natin, since we are moving along a horizontal motion. And then we have here two forces. Okay, so assume na lang natin siya na it goes to this direction. Okay, sa positive x direction. And then we have also a third force, that's 560 newtons, which acts on the car but in the opposite direction. So ibig sabihin, nasa opposite direction yung 560 newtons, which is on the negative x. Okay, and then the question here in this problem is we have to find the acceleration of the car. Okay, so first you write the given. We have here forces. So let's say your force number 1, which is the 275 newtons. So this is positive kasi papunta siya dito sa positive x-axis. Okay, and then another force for the person 2, we have positive 395 newtons. Okay, and then a third force that acts on the opposite direction, we will call this as force number 3, that's negative 560 newtons. And then what we are looking for in the problem is your acceleration. Now remember that your Newton's second law states that force, or the summation of all forces, is equal to mass times acceleration. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to write your mass, which is the 1,850 kilograms. Okay, so another given from the problem. Okay, tapos, you are going to add all these forces. Okay, ibig sabihin itong summation na sign, okay, is you have to add all the forces that acting on the body or on the car. So we have here F1 plus F2 plus F3. Okay, so you add the 275, that's positive, plus positive 395. Okay, this is newtons, plus negative 560 newtons. Okay, so you add these 3, this is, okay, and then so this is 275 plus 395 plus negative 560 newtons. Then you will get 110. So your unit for force is newtons. So this is now your summation of all forces. And now you have a given mass, which is 1,850 kilograms. So what will happen to your formula? You transpose it make sure that your acceleration is the only variable in one side. So here, I will divide both sides. So let's say this is F, MA, and then I will multiply both sides with 1 over M, or I will divide both sides with 1 over M, and then M will cancel at this side, so you will be left with A. So your acceleration now is equal to the summation of forces divided by mass. Okay? And then you substitute, that's 110 newtons. This is positive. Okay? And your mass is 1,850 kilograms. You divide, this is your acceleration, and then if you divide this, you will get 0.059. So that's 0.059. Since this is acceleration, so your unit for acceleration is meter per second squared. So this is now the answer for our problem number 1, or example, or our first example. So this is now the acceleration of the car. So take note, the acceleration is positive. Okay? So wala lang natin siya nalagyan ng time. So this is the acceleration of the car. So yes, so that's the answer for our first problem. Okay, so now for the next example, we have here the applying Newton's second law using components. So for our previous example, that was Newton's second law, purely the Newton's second law, and for this one, we are going to use components. Okay. So when are we going to use components? Kapag yung direction ng force natin is not on the exactly on the y-axis or the x-axis. So meron tayo ditong slanted na direction or slanted na direction na force natin. Okay, so for the problem we have here, a man is stranded on a raft. Mass of man and raft is 1,300 kilograms as shown in figure A. So this is the figure. Okay, ito yung nasa word problem natin, kung ano yung nangyayari sa word problem. And then by paddling, he causes an average force of 17 newtons to be applied to the raft in a direction due east. Okay, so our east, again, that's on the positive x direction. And then the wind also exerts a force A. Okay, let's call this force A on the raft. And then this force has a magnitude of 15 newtons and points 67 degrees north of east. Okay, so dito na papasok si vectors. It's because our force here is directed 67 degrees north of east. Now, ignoring any resistance from the water, find the x and y components of the raft's acceleration. Okay, so our first step, again, this is the free body diagram of what is happening in the raft. So ito yung direction ng raft natin. This is your A. This is our force A. Okay, yung nakaslant. This is 67 degrees east of north. And then we have here our average force. Ito yung direction natin for your average force, the positive x direction. Okay, kasi due east siya, so ito yung average force natin, which is 17 newtons. So what are we going to look for in this problem is the x and y components of our raft's acceleration. So the first step, you have to write your given. So the given in the problem, let's say our force P, which is 17 newtons due east, and then our force A, which is 15 newtons, 67 degrees north of east. Yes, that's the given. And then we also have our mass, the total mass of the man together with the raft, which is 1,300 kilograms. And what we are looking for is our acceleration with respect to x and y components. Okay, so for the first step of the problem, una is kunin muna natin yung x and y component ng ating forces. So let's say force P. Okay, I will make a table and then this is our x component. Okay, and then this is the y component. Our force P, since nasa east lang yan siya, and then it's along our x component, so it's positive 17 newtons. Okay, and then for the y component naman, that's 0. Okay, kasi it is on 0 at this axis. Wala siyang value. Kasi ito yung force P natin, nasa x na. The force A, from the figure, we have here, naka 67 degrees siya. Ito yung force A natin. Ibig sabihin, okay, this is drawn at this at this figure. Ang y component natin is a sine 67 degrees, tapos yung x component natin magiging a cosine 67 degrees. So yung value natin for a is 15. Okay, so ilagay ko muna siya. This is a cosine theta for the x component, and then for this one, for the y component, a sine theta. Okay, and then substitute the values. Our a is 15 cosine 67 degrees, and then we have here 15 sine 67 degrees. So this is for vector A. I'm sorry, for the force A. So ayan. Okay. And then, after solving for A, so isolve natin siya. Wait. So let's solve letter A. Our x component for A, that's 15 cosine 67. So this is 5.86 okay, newtons. And then, ang sine naman, 5 sine, that's 13.81 newtons. Okay, so meron na tayong values for forces A and P. Okay, now, for forces along X, i-add natin yan sila lahat. Okay, itong components na nandito. So what are we going to do is the summation of all forces with respect to X. Or yung nasa X-axis na. So you just add positive 17 newtons plus positive 5.86 newtons. Okay, so that's for the forces along X. Okay, so after adding, let's add. So we are going to add 17 plus 5.86. Now your forces along your X is equivalent to 22.86 newtons. And then along Y, so i-add nyo rin ito siya. Okay? So this is along Y. So that's 0 plus 13.81 newtons, which is equivalent to 13.81 newtons. Okay. Now we can now solve for the acceleration with respect to x and y components. Okay. So the next step is, again, your forces is equivalent to mass times acceleration. So kung acceleration ang hanapin, it will be F over m. Okay, so yung process nito is already shown in our previous example. So for AX, we have all forces along X divided by m. Okay, and then for AY, we are going to have all forces along y divided by m. Okay, and then you substitute the values for x. We have 22.86 newtons divided by your mass, which is the 1,300 kilograms. Okay, and then for the ay, we will have your forces along y, which is 13.81 newtons divided by 1,300 kilograms. And then you calculate this one. 22.86 divided by, so 0.0188. So meter per second squared. And then 13.81 divided by, that's 0.01 or 0.11 meter per second. So this is now the example, I'm sorry, the answer for our example for this one. So we have your x and y components of the raft's acceleration, that's 0.8018 meter per second squared for the x component, and then 0.011 meter per second squared for our y. Okay, so now we'll proceed with our third example. So what is the magnitude of the gravitational force that acts on each particle in the figure below, assuming your mass 1 is 12 kilograms, and then your mass 2 is 25 kilograms. Okay, and then your r, or radius, is equal to 1.2 meters. Okay, so take note that our force, or the gravitational force, Fg, okay, is equivalent to G m1 m2 over r squared. Okay, and then our our G is constant, okay, which is 6.67 times 10 negative 11 Newton meters squared over kg squared. So this is a constant. Pag makita ninyo itong big letter G na yan, it is equivalent to this one. And then you just substitute the given, we have your mass 1, which is 12 kilograms, your mass 2, which is 25 kilograms, and then your R, that's 1.2 meters. You just substitute this one. So your F now, or your gravitational force, is equivalent to 6.67 times 10 negative 11, okay, Newton meter squared over kg squared. And then you multiply it with your 12 kilograms times 25 kilograms over 1.2 meters squared. So you plug in this in your calculator, and then you will get 1.4 times 10 raised to negative 8 Newton. So this answer is rounded off. Okay, so ayan siya. This is now the answer for this example.